Into income? Say less. It's Free Money Wednesdays. Every week, we drop the hottest funding alerts, grants, scholarships, startup catch, and hidden gems. Tune in with the Free Money crew as we break down how to apply, win, and level up. From the blog to the tube, we've got you covered. Visit mycoachministry.com/blog or subscribe on YouTube at mycoachministry for the latest drops.
Thank you so much for staying with me so far. We're now in our Free Money Wednesdays segment. I'm Coach Raquel, and we are going to get into it. All right. We're looking today at policy equals profit. So, entrepreneurs, let's look at number 3. Last week, we talked about the top 10 grant funding checklist, right? Which is now currently on the website. You should check it out. But today, we're looking at number 3. Number 3 on the top 10 grant funding checklist, crystal clear objective. We're going to be looking at that. Can you define exactly what you need the funding for? Is the purpose tied to growth, innovation, or community impact? Can you pitch it in one sentence? Because if your idea is fuzzy, your application will be dead on arrival. So that's what we're focusing on. Number 3, right? Now, the viral spark. This is what happened, and this is what inspired today's episode. Now, you've been seeing the story. I think most persons haven't. If you haven't, man, you must have been under a rock. So in Jamaica, right, there's a story about a Jamaican high school banning edges. That's what the reports say. Parents have become outraged. A lot of people online have become outraged. Parents, it literally went wild in the media. All right, it's on international news. Tasha K talked about it. Queen Amadaya Shakur talked about it. I believe, yes, I think she did. I hope I'm recalling correctly. But I mean, a lot of the top bloggers spoke about it. All right, it went wild. Here's a real business lesson. If a school is charging tuition, are the students and parents customers? And if they're customers, should they be treated with the same respect and clarity as someone paying their light bill or ordering at a restaurant? The confusion came because the policy wasn't clear. Was it about discipline? Was it about image? Or was it about control? That lack of clarity created conflict, and conflict always costs money. Now, let's say we hear this on the news, so we don't know if it's a case where the actual students weren't clear on the clarity of the policy, but the fact that a social media post went out on the issue, and allegedly it went out on the issue because what the school said is because allegedly the school claims that it was the student body that posted that made that post, and then it went viral. So I'm saying if policy was clear, then we wouldn't have to get here, right? So the confusion came because the policy wasn't crystal clear. Was it about discipline? Was it about image? Or was it about control? The lack of clarity created conflict, and the conflict always costs money. And even if it is not in this case, this message is still important because as entrepreneurs, we need to know what makes us vulnerable, right? So the calm breakdown, funding and income. Let's bring it back to funding, whether it's a grant funder, a paying customer, or a donor or investor, right? They all want the same thing: clarity. When your objectives are vague, your policies inconsistent, or your customer experience confusion, confusion, you don't just lose trust, you lose money. Grant funders will pass on your applications, customers will walk to your competitor, and donors will give somewhere else. Now, let's say, because one of the challenges I think that we might be facing, we face sometimes, right, is that there's some environments wherein customers are treated different, where the authority is not the customer. The organization sees themselves more of an authority rather than a service provider. And I think school is one of those places where we blur the lines, and I think sometimes we forget that students and parents are customers. How do we treat our customers? But we're going to continue. So the bottom line impact. Here's the financial truth. PwC says 32% of customers leave a brand after just one bad experience. The nonprofit Times shows funders increasingly look for measurable clarity. What exactly will this money accomplish? So whether you're applying for a 10,000, sorry, and I'll just show it to you where the statistic, the bottom line, right? That's not where we are. Right. So whether you're applying for a $10,000 grant or asking a client for a $100 payment, if your objective isn't sharp and your policies aren't clear, your bottom line takes the hit. All right. And this is what I want to say as well. I'm Jamaican and I've been here for a while. Now I remember when we had a telecommunications company called Cable and Wireless, and this is no disrespect to Cable and Wireless because we respect everyone we speak about here, but it was a very good lesson to be learned. I remember feeling when Cable and Wireless ruled, as a customer, I felt I had no power. I had no choice, and I felt exploited as a customer. And I remember when we had a new one that came in, we rushed through the door to get to that other one. Why am I recalling this? You see, oftentimes we're in environments where as customers we're taken for granted, and it's because we may not have enough competition yet or whatever. I do believe that even school or civil organizations, governmental organizations, private organizations who sometimes become laxed because they are in demand or because they feel they're secure because we force people to, for example, go to school when they may not want to go to school. We should become aware that more and more options, especially with the internet, more and more options are being presented for persons to study abroad, study online, to do other things. So it is important that we treat our customers with respect, whether or not they're a student. And why am I saying this in this conversation? To be honest with you, I don't know why a school will be talking about somebody's edges. What is the policy exactly that falls under? And shouldn't this be something that the PTA handles? Shouldn't this be something that the PTA talks with their parents about? The focus should be on their education, no? All right, let's keep going. So we want to talk about the entrepreneur fix, right? I'm just saying this to say there are lessons here for us to learn based on our own business as entrepreneurs. If you have one customer, treat them with respect. Make sure you enforce your policy. And if you have 1 million customers, that policy should apply to them all in the same way, right? And so that's why even when you're a young entrepreneur growing and you may only have 1 or 2 clients or whatever, you should already have systems in place. And I always say this, nobody cares when you're not making a lot of money. But the minute you do, everybody cares. And that's why you have to operate even with one person as though you are running your full team at full force. You have to operate as though you have all the customers that you desire right now. You don't wait. Right now, with your one client, your one customer, you should operate as though you're at full force. Yes? Now, the entrepreneur fix, as you can see on the screen, here's how to tie policy and funding together. Write objectives like cash flow depends on them. Write your objectives like your cash flow depends on them, because it does. Be clear with funders and customers alike. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence unlocks money. For example, in the cases of schools, there's some schools that apply for funding. You want to make sure that the same thing you're telling your funders is the same thing you're telling your students, because they are the customers. The conversation should be the same. You should be clear with funders and customers alike. Clarity builds confidence. Confidence unlocks money. Enforce consistently. Don't say one thing in your grant application and live another in your business. Whatever you put in the grant, that's what should really be happening in your business. Now, number 4, align policy with growth. Every policy should show how you're protecting the mission, the product, and the money. Number 5 and last, respect the payer. Respect your payer. I know there's some of us who we have so much money or we have so many businesses that we feel we don't have to care about the customer. I can tell you, I experienced that as a tenant, as someone who's renting real estate. I experienced that as someone sometimes with delivery services. I experienced that in quite many areas. And every time I get an opportunity where I no longer have to do it, I run for it. I run for it. And don't get me wrong, because I also weigh, because everywhere you go, there's going to be an issue. So I always sit with myself and do an assessment, because I don't stay anywhere I'm suffering for any reason. Not a home, not a school. If I stay, it's because I feel there's benefits here. I don't just stay. I have to be getting value for my money or I'm not staying. So when I talk about the challenges sometimes that you face in customer service, you should know when poor services have gotten to its peak, has gotten to the peak where, you should know when customer service, when poor customer service has gotten to its peak to the point where you can no longer tolerate it, right? So, but be clear on why you make the changes you do. But just remember that your customers will be impacted by how you treat them, and that will affect your money, your bottom line. Right now, the lesson: a crystal clear objective isn't just for grant funding. It's the backbone of every income stream. When your policies are fuzzy, when your pitch is fuzzy, when your objectives are fuzzy, you lose dollars. But when you show up with clarity, you secure the bag, you protect your profits, and you build trust that lasts. So this Free Money Wednesday, remember, policy equal profit, clarity equals cash flow. Let's say that again. All right. So policy equal profit and clarity equals cash flow. Now go and sharpen those objectives. So let me just share a personal experience for me. I face this all the time. Clients will message me. So for example, this is just me sharing a story with you with something I face as an entrepreneur and making sure I'm on top of those policies, right? One of the things that I used to have to reinforce a lot was my work time, my work hours, right? I am someone who loves to support. I love to support people. It's my pleasure to support them. But one of the things I've learned is you can't support everyone the same way. You have to treat each customer as an independent customer, and you have to treat them kind of uniquely, even though it's under the same general banner, right? So for example, I have some clients that I can never go the extra mile for. I have to keep it by the book, because one slip from policy and advantage and miscommunication, it's going to become an issue, right? While there's some clients who understand, and they'll understand that, you know what, I'm contacting you after work hours. I understand that I'm doing this with you. So I understand that if you do it for me today, I should not expect it tomorrow, right? So because you do have times when you may go overboard a little bit for someone, but even then it should still be within some kind of context and some kind of policy. So for example, with me, one of the things I found that I really had to pay attention to was timelines, right? When, let's say, so the one I have here is where clients will message me like at 11 p.m. or Sunday mornings, expecting an immediate response, as if my fingers were glued to the keyboard 24/7. If I break my own rules and respond, I've just trained them to expect unlimited access. And when I can't keep that up, they feel disappointed. They may even walk away. That's not just stress. That's lost income, because disappointed customers don't return and they don't refer. So for me personally, I have a practice where I say 24 to 72 hours. And I let them know that 24 hours is for like priority clients, and I'm very clear about it. So this is it for me, right? I may see something coming for a client and I may be tempted to respond. I do not. What I do is I might write an email to respond but I schedule that email. I do not respond because I do not, first of all, I don't want one customer to think another customer is being treated with preferential treatment, and they're not. And two, I don't want to breach my policies, and I have to be careful. If I were to breach, who am I doing it with, and what is the context under which I'm doing it, and what's the communication around it, right? So you have to make sure that you remember that policy is very important, how you operate, and you may have to remind your clients from time to time, this is what a thing is, right? I remember it was last Monday or something. Yes, I think it was last Monday. I had a client who they missed their deadline on when to send something, right? And of course, over the weekend, nobody's working. So the program was set for the Monday. Now, I do understand that, because what I do is I understand that people may be late with certain things. So I always have like 30 minutes time span where I get to interact with the client before we get to the project, right? So I wasn't worried, because I know, okay, we just know that on that day we have to move quickly because we have a limited time and we have to get everything in, and it's okay. But when I woke up to a lot of messages of hello, are you there, right? And so on that morning I had to remind that client, nobody's at work on the weekend. Just a reminder, we're not at work on the weekend, right? And just a reminder, you are the one who's late in your submission, because guess what happened also with policy? There are times when you have to remind clients about your policy because they'll flip it on you, because humans are human beings, right? We're humans. So persons will come at you as though you missed something when you didn't. They are late. They're late. You know you have a deadline. So you can't say you've been trying to reach me and you can't reach me. Why would you be trying to reach me on a weekend? I don't work on weekends. That's in my policy. That's in my communication. That's all over my website, right? And it was communicated to you directly because we know the product we're working on. So that's one. You were not trying to reach me and not getting to me. You were messaging me on my off hours. That's what let's clarify the communication so we can both be in fairness, right? Also, number two, 24 to 72 hours. 24 to 72 hours is my response time. And in this case, this was not a priority client. So we're not late. And you have to reinforce that, and you have to remind the client that, remember, we did say this, we're not in breach. And then the third, whatever is to be done, there is a section, there's a time slated to handle all pre-production. So your project will never suffer. So in that, you notice that I'm also letting the client know that we are also working in your favor. It's not just about sticking to my policy, but my policy includes your best interest. So you're not going to lose. So we understand your anxiety, but you don't have to be anxious at all. So you want to make sure the client also don't just feel like the policy is against them, but that they understand that no, it's not against you, but just be mindful. But also we made sure that the policies we have in place is also favorable to you. It's also favorable to you. And my client was quite fine. She was happy and she apologized and she was, oh my gosh, thank you so much for supporting me. I'm happy for your show, because we had everything done and it was professional and she lost nothing, and she understood the truth, because the truth was you were messaging us on an off hour, right? And even if I saw it and I felt like responding, I would not have, because I don't want to miscommunicate our policies to the client, right? So just remember that. And now I want to go on to, all right, well, the tip for today, schools often forget that parents are paying customers. Imagine if JPS or NWC or whatever electric company or utility companies you currently have agreements with said, we'll take your light bill, but we don't like your hairstyle. Absurd, right? Yet many businesses do the same, taking money while imposing authority that doesn't fit a school model. Entrepreneurs, that mismatch costs income. The bottom line is this: if you charge like a service, treat them like a customer. If you enforce like an authority, be clear upfront. Misalignment leaks money. The real lesson: policy equals profit. Every unclear rule is a leak in your pocket. Every enforced boundary is a safeguard to your bottom line. This week, don't just chase money. Protect the money already flowing by tightening up your policies. That's how you win the business. Sorry, that's how you win in business. That's how you scale calmly, and that's how you keep Free Money Wednesday working in your favor. So I think this conversation is very, very important, and I really think a lot of organizations out there need to really, really revise how they treat their customers who they see themselves as authority over. Yes. And I think also there should be some, I don't know what I would say, but there should be some thought and consideration, especially to customers who are forced into certain services. For example, I think school is something that's imposed upon us. It's mandatory for students to go to school up to a certain age, right? You have to send your kids to school. When you have this kind of system, I think policies should be written with the customers in mind and their best interest. Do I agree with young girls focusing on edges and all of that? No, I don't. But do I think they deserve respect and autonomy over their own bodies? Yes, I do. And I think if someone is going to correct them about how they about their parents, it should be their parents, not the school. The school should have nothing to do with this. And to any extent that the school get involved, it should be through the PTA, Parent Teachers Association, where the teachers communicate that to their parents based on their policies. Because to be honest with you, is that relevant? Who cares? Teach them. Educate them. That's the job. Educate them. That's the job. Thank you so much for staying with me so far. I'm Coach Raquel. I love to open new packages. I will be the latest information on the top funding opportunities for entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. Come along with me. I'm Coach Raquel, and this is a passion project for me, so I am so happy to bring this to you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching.
Unlock your potential every Thursday with our podcast, Refresh, Relax, Renew. Join Coach Raquel as she guides you through personal development journeys. Each episode focuses on actionable steps to enhance your personal journey. The podcast features 3 main segments to keep you engaged. We start with discussions on trending topics relevant to your growth. Then we unbox solutions to common challenges we face daily. Finally, stay updated with fresh funding opportunities each week. Tune in every Thursday for new episodes, and see you there. Welcome to mycoachministry.com. We're on a mission to empower 1 million purpose-driven entrepreneurs, turning calling into currency. Through strategic coaching, we guide visionary leaders, brand elevation, and creative empowerment, helping leaders break barriers and own their identity. Build impactful, wealth-generating brands that echo across generations.